Okay, fuckers and fuckheads, what we gonna do today, those are some extra shit, I'm just kind of checking out what we got here. We're gonna go through this old Harley and do her right, because all these little hoses and shit, they're 5 or 6 years old, they're really hard, they're really brittle, they're getting replaced today. And you know, I got all the usual stuff. I'm gonna solder and shrink wrap all my little end connectors. But we're gonna replace the ignition too. And we're going to set this sucker up for dual fire. We got a coil for it. We got wires for it, and we even got them platinum spark plugs for it. So we set for the day. We got us a project. And one thing that I can't stress is when you're putting on a new ignition system on these Harleys, it's good if you know what you're doing to say have a set of Dyna coils on an Accel ignition, or a Crane high 4 ignition with an Accel coil. Man, that's a beautiful combination. But for those of you who don't know what you're doing, Accel makes, and I don't get no sponsorship dollars from them fuckers, I don't know them, and the only thing I know about them is they make a damn good product. It's still quality, and it's about the only American shit you can really get, because I very seriously, I doubt, Crane might be making their own, I doubt Dyna is. But it's one of the easiest things in the world to put these on. But I can't stress enough that if you don't know how to mix and match your ignition systems and you want a performance ignition, Accel is the only game in town for these older Big V twins. Crane makes a beautiful product, but it's way overpriced for what you get, and it does run a little bit hot if you're trying to run a chrome cover over them coils. Them Crane coils are a mother. Just like if you get the whole Dyna set, you know, it's been my experience, them coils 3 to 6 months is all you're getting out of the coils, and half the time they'll tear up the ignition box, well, that little pickup puck, you know, whatever the fuck you want to call it, at the same time. Especially if you mixing and matching. And like I say, I love a Crane high 4 ignition with some Accel coils, but I love a good old-fashioned Mallory / MSD ignition, but those are hard to find, and when you do, they're going to be spendy. These Accel ignitions, for as far as bang for the buck goes, you ain't gonna beat these motherfuckers. Not on a Harley. On some Jap bikes, yeah, I beg to differ. And y'all have seen me. I'll be running Dyna pucks, you know, these Dyna S's and shit, with Accel or Mallory coils. This one's getting MSDs. But that's because I know the combination and I know they work together. I get a lot of you guys that are saying, man, I tried that with that on this bike. Well, that wasn't the same bike I was doing, and you know, or you got to pay attention to detail and do that shit right. Anyway, I'll get started on putting all this together as soon as that other camera gets here, because this one kind of is sucky. But I figured I'd mention that before I did this, why I'm staying with a single vendor solution on this bike. It makes it easier on the guy that's going to be riding it, because if something goes wrong, he's got to call one place. And why did I go with these single fire coils instead of double fire? Hey, if something goes wrong on these motherfuckers, they're each fire, that's really 2 coils inside that coil. And if something goes wrong on these motherfuckers on one of the sides, you can still get home on one cylinder. You can't do that with a double fire coil. Anyway, holler at y'all fuckers and fuckers.